Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's Small Business Boot Camp. I'm Robert Thiebald, Small Business Ombudsman and Vice President of Small Business Services here at the Arizona Commerce Authority. As we like to do, we like to start by having everybody share in the chat where you're tuning in from. I already see we have Yolanda from the Tohono O'odham Nation joining us, so post up in the chat where you're tuning in from. We have Chandler. Hey, George, how you doing? We have Flagstaff. All right, Chandler, Flagstaff. We're getting good range there. North Phoenix. Tolleson. Thank you, Natasha, for being here. All right. Well, we got a few more people in that, so let's post up in the chat where you're tuning in from. But we're going to jump right in as well. So as I like to do, we like to start by thanking all of our community partners. We could not do these webinars without them, without our partners, their time, their effort, and their expertise. They're all very willing to give back to the small businesses in this, that are joining us. So we want to definitely thank them. Also, those that are new to the boot camp, the Small Business Boot Camp is designed to help small businesses prepare, plan, and grow. And we do that through our weekly webinars on Tuesday mornings, such as today's. We also do that through hands-on workshop, both virtual workshops and in-person workshops. And then also through some additional special session webinars, we call them, depending on the needs or the timing for those sessions. So it's a great full circle group of events that we like to do to support the boot camp and small businesses throughout the state. One of the key pieces of the boot camp is our content library. We take all of our webinars and workshop and virtual workshops that we do, and we record them and we post them up in our content library. So there in the content library, we have well over 300 recorded webinars and presentations that you can access at any time. That includes the recording of the session, and we also try to include the slide decks when possible from the presenters. So it's a great resource available to you at no cost and at any time of the day that you want to access it. The ACA also has a number of other programs that help support small businesses. You can find these and others at our website listed there at the bottom of the page, azcommerce.com/programs. One of the programs that we like to talk about as well that is great for entrepreneurs is our small business checklist. It's an online interactive resource that helps entrepreneurs, both those starting a business and also those looking to expand their businesses into new areas, identify the commonly requested licensing and registration and compliance requirements at the local, state, and federal levels. It is an amazing resource with a ton of information. And then you can also find on that page in the lower right-hand corner, you can find Sally, our state and local licensing information virtual assistant. And Sally can help you with some quicker responses, a little bit less detail, but is available there. And so we ask you to take a look and chat with Sally and provide feedback on how Sally's doing. So with that, let's look at some small business updates we want to share. We're going to post some links for these in the chat so you can access them. But the Phoenix Business Journal is having their Small Business Awards. And it is open if you want to. You can nominate yourself, so you can self-nominate, or others can nominate you as well. But the deadline for those nominations is June 21st. So if you're a small business in the Metro Phoenix area, you can apply for that and get recognized for your work as a small business. And then we have the Downtown Phoenix Small Business Innovation Summit. This is a 3-part series hosted by the ASU Edson E&I Institute in the city of Phoenix. The first session was already done. The second session is coming up. And then they're having a pitch competition in the third session, which lists that information right there on the screen. So we'll put some links for these in the chat. And then also for those that are interested, Local First Arizona is hosting their Rural Policy Forum in August. It'll be up in Clarkdale, Arizona, and it is for both businesses and government folks to help understand some of the opportunities and challenges that rural communities face, both for business and government. So it's a great event that we will be at as well. With that, here's a quick list of our upcoming sessions through July 9th. You'll notice the gap there between June 25th and July 9th. The week of the 4th of the Independence Day, 4th of July, we will not have a boot camp that week. But we got some great sessions, as you can see, and we look forward to seeing all of you at these webinars. So with that, we're going to jump into today's session. We've got a great partner of ours. We've got Andre Whittington. He's the Executive Director of Growth Partners CDFI, and he is a local lender for Arizona. And so we're excited to have Andre with us. With that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Andre's going to go ahead and jump in, share his screen. And if you have questions in today's session, please post those in the Q&A at the bottom. I'll be keeping an eye on those, and then we can use the chat for some interaction as well. But we like to have the questions in the Q&A so we can track those better and make sure we're getting your questions answered. Andre, it is all yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hopefully you all can see my screen.
Yep, looks good.
All right. So, well, thank everyone. Thank you all for joining the session today as we talk a little bit about capital readiness. And we'll do this through the lens of both you as the borrower, but also through the lens of the lender, so that you'll have a good understanding of, what a successful loan application looks like. And so a little bit about us, Growth Partners Arizona. We are a CDFI, so a community development financial institution here in Arizona. And our goal is really to unlock capital opportunities for small businesses, nonprofit, and combat and eliminate predatory lending. And so we've been around for a little over 10 years, and we are statewide. And so as we get into our agenda today, we'll talk a little bit about, so this course actually builds on a previous session that we did around how to leverage debt financing to grow your business. And it is on in the bootcamp library. And so if you wasn't able to attend that one, that is a really good one, because the foundation of this comes from that session. And so this builds on that. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I'll share the different type of loan programs that are available here in the state of Arizona. Give you some insight on what we look for as lenders and how you can have that conversation around securing funding that you need. Different application essentials that you'll need. I'll talk a little bit about a success story. We have a lot of them, but I'll share one that's it kind of relates to what we're talking about today. And then we'll get into developing your strategy for success. So building on that previous lesson around leveraging debt financing, we really discussed how to create your growth strategy. And so it focused on the financial foundation of your business, which means, are you leveraging, do you have systems in place like QuickBooks? Do you have an accountant? Are you practicing strong financial management? Do you understand exactly what you need to grow, right? So when you're thinking about securing funding, having growth strategy in place is going to be key. And any business of any size can do this. And so it's all about having that strong financial foundation, understanding what do you need to grow your business. And that may be you want to expand into new markets, right? You want to launch a new product. You want to focus on retaining your customers, or a growth opportunity for you may be changing vendors, changing suppliers. And so as you're thinking about that and you're looking at the financial health of your organization or your business, then you want to think about the type of funding instruments that you can use, and then working with your lender or your provider to establish a strong debt management strategy. And so that's what the previous session really touched on. And so this kind of builds on that. So it assumes that you have a strong financial foundation in place. You've already assessed your growth opportunity, so you know exactly what you're going to use your funding for. And then now you're looking to identify what's the best funding instrument for you to grow your business. So the first step in that process is, again, looking at the financial health of your business. And so knowing your business needs and understanding what you can effectively handle from a debt perspective is going to be key. And so when you're talking to lenders, they're going to assess your business looking at these core areas, right? Are you managing your finances effectively? Do you understand what's going in and what's coming out? Are you disciplined? Do you have those strong systems in place, right? Do you have an accountant? Do you have a software? uh, Making sure that there's accurate accounting practices within your business is going to be important, right? Are you commingling funds? Do you have a separate business account? And then understanding what your credit profile looks like. Now, there are programs out there that doesn't look at credit, right? It may look at still the character of the owner, but understanding what your credit profile is and being able to speak to it is going to be key. And so all of the things in your business will rise and fall on the financial health of your business. So think of this as your entrepreneurial heartbeat. The stronger the heartbeat, the further your business will grow, right? Not go, but grow. And so you want to make sure that you have a strong financial health in place so that you can grow your business. And so when we think about this from a lender's perspective across the 5 C's of credit, this is what this looks like. And so when you think about your financial management, it's looking at the capacity, the capital, the conditions, right? And so what those things are saying is that the capacity is you're only taking on debt of what you know that you need and you can pay back, right? The capital, how you're managing that within your business. And then the condition, can you repay back what you're looking to borrow? And so the reason why this is important in this view is so that you can understand that a lot of times I know for small businesses that we've engaged with, sometimes they may not have the credit, and that may deter them from applying for a loan. But if you look at this graph around the financial health of your business, your credit profile may not be strong, but you have very strong financial management and strong financial discipline. Guess what? That business will potentially receive funding. It's more than likely that that business will be funded. Where you may have a strong credit profile, you may have strong credit, but your financial management, your financial discipline is lacking. Most of the times, that business will not get funded. And so we've seen both scenarios. And so having that strong financial health, that strong foundation is going to be key. And so as you're thinking about this from a business perspective, these are those things that you want to have in place and solid as you're going out to look for funding and have conversations around lending. So let's get into the access to capital piece. And so the big thing around access to capital is knowing what's available. And this is really the types of capital that are out there, the types of capital and programs, and then what you qualify for based on the 5 C's. And these are going to be like those program requirements. And so as you are, as an entrepreneur, you're running your business, sometimes you run into those needs where you need funding. And so knowing the type of funding that's out there and then the requirement is really going to separate you from other small business owners. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we move through the presentation. So when assessing your business for growth opportunities, right, that second bucket, your financial health, that's the foundation of your business. So you have that in place. And so now you're looking for those growth opportunities. So it's important to research the type of programs that are available and understand those program requirements. And then aligning your business to that program, that lender, and having a conversation. And so depending on the business size and revenue and your personal profile, it will determine the type of funding that your business should pursue. And so remember, assessing any type of funding is a long-term strategy. A lot of times small businesses run into the space where you're in a crunch and you need some financial support now. And then it's a little bit too late, right? And so then you can only go after the funding that will provide funding to you right now. And so this should be a long-term strategy and a long-term focus, and you're playing the long game. And the goal is to identify the best path forward today that is going to position you for success tomorrow. And so alternative lending programs, CDFI loan programs, and then your traditional programs are typically the type of funding opportunities that are in the market. And so when you think about your alternative loan programs, the business profiles who will qualify for an alternative loan These are like your micro enterprises. And these loans, when you think about the 5 C's, they're really looking at character, but the character isn't the credit, right? It may be that they want you to refer, have some professional references. It'll be more interview intensive. They'll do a lot of interviewing for you. And so for this type of a loan, some of these are character based, which means that they're looking at you as an entrepreneur to say, who are you as a person? Do you have the capacity to take on additional debt, and can you repay? What are the conditions of your business? Do you have revenue coming in, and can you repay that loan? And so the 5 C's are still critical here, but they're just being looked at through a different lens. And so the reason why these loans are considered for small businesses, right, is because maybe you can't meet the credit requirements for a traditional loan, and that's fine. Being able to have that conversation shows a lot about your character when you can say, hey, my credit took a hit because of medical bills, or my credit took a hit because my spouse lost their job and we had to leverage our credit cards to make ends meet. And so being open and transparent during those conversations will go a long way, because again, it goes back to the character of the owner, right? And you're being honest and upfront with your profile. Maybe you have some inconsistencies or insufficient revenue over the last 12 months where your business kind of took a hit. Maybe it was some seasonalities or unexpected expenses that happened that impacted your business. But alternative loan programs are really good for that. These are what I consider almost introductory capital to the lending experience and access to capital pathways for small businesses. And there are a lot of programs in the state that will provide funding through an alternative loan means. And you have some loan funds that will do that as well. And so when you're not ready to take on a large amount of debt, you have some fear around debt financing, alternative loan programs are a really good way to go. Also, it doesn't require a lot of the documentation that some of your other traditional loan programs require. Now, online lenders and fintech companies are also alternative loan programs. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to the requirements, to those interest rates, and are there any prepayment penalties, right? And what's the guidelines around if you are late, right? If you don't make a payment this month, what are those additional charges that you may incur? And so you want to have those conversations. So from there, we'll talk a little bit about the CDFI loan program. And so for your CDFIs, again, these are for your established businesses that have some growth potential. So these businesses, they're making between 250,000, in some cases up to 5 million. They have a little bit more they all have over 5 employees. And this type of program will look at all 5 C's, right? But a CDFI lender has a lot more flexibility than the bank. And so for these type of programs, again, if your character may be not as strong as you want it to be from a credit profile perspective, but everything else is really strong, you're 9 times out of 10 you're going to receive the capital that you need to grow your business, right? And so as you're thinking about that and looking at what will you qualify for as a small business owner, understanding the types of programs and then the requirements are going to be key. And so why some businesses choose the CDFI loans? Again, they can't meet those traditional funding requirements. Their credit history meets the CDFI requirements, but may fall below the threshold of a bank in bank financing. These businesses also could really use some technical assistance to help them grow their business. And so it may be an entrepreneur who's been running the business for a few years, but they need some technical assistance around partnerships, networking. They're looking to get into government contracts. They need to get more financial rigor around their business, and the technical assistance could really help them grow their business. And they don't have a lot of experience with the lending process, but they do need the funding to grow their business. And that's where your CDFI loan programs will come into play. And then the last piece, of course, is going to be your traditional loans. These are, your typical borrowers. They're looking at large scale projects, longer payment terms, right? This capital is not as expensive as, getting an alternative loan. But there are requirements depending upon the type of program that you're looking to do, right? Like, for instance, an SBA loan may require you to have an equity investment into that loan of 20%. And so thinking about those things and identifying what program your business should apply for based on your needs and what you'll qualify for, I think is going to be key. So now that we've, understood the financial health of our business, right? Understanding those 5 C's from financial management, discipline, and then your credit profile, and then aligning that to the different types of programs that are out there, the next thing that you would do is connect with a lender and have that conversation to say, this is what I'm looking for. And so one of the most important things I always share with people is understanding what the lenders are looking for and how you could present that as a small business owner to the lender is really the key to a successful application. And so when you're thinking about from a lender's perspective, this is how we review and assess, loans, right? At a very high scale, but this is pretty much it. And so that top row is how you would approach the loan application process and the conversation. And that bottom row is how your lender is going to begin to look at your business. And so when you think about your business needs and qualifications, you need to understand from a credit or a character profile, what will you qualify for? If your credit has some blemishes, right, and you do not meet that credit threshold and you want to go the alternative route, does your character and the person you are, the references that you'll need to provide, will they be able to speak on your behalf, right? In order for you to apply and qualify for some of those character-based programs. If you're being interviewed, right, can you convey your experience, your knowledge, and integrity through that interview process to secure the funding that you need for your business? Thinking about how much funding you need. This is key because a lot of times small business owners, and I've had plenty of conversations with small business owners who are interested in funding. And the first question I always ask is, how much funding do you need? And I can't count. It's been a lot of times, too many to count, where their response to me is, I don't know, or I was hoping you would tell me. And if I have to tell you how much funding you need, the concern for any lender or investor says your business can't be financially healthy because if you're not aware of the type of funding and how much funding you need for whatever project it is that you're taking on, are you practicing in modeling strong financial discipline? And so it all goes back to the financial side of your business, not from an accounting perspective, but really from an understanding and awareness to say, if I'm looking to do this, this is how much funding I need. Think of it about it as if you're taking a trip, right? If you're about to take a trip, you're not going to get on a flight, you're not going to travel without knowing exactly where you're going to stay, how you're going to spend your money, and how much funding and cash you have on hand to enjoy the time that you're looking to enjoy. So think about that as you're running your business. You're not going to take on any debt or financing without knowing exactly how much you need and how that funding is going to be utilized within your business. So knowing how much you need is going to be important. That lets that lender know around the capital side that you really took, that you were very intentional with applying for this particular loan. You know exactly how much funding you need, and how much cash on hand you have available to support whatever this project is that you're looking to implement. The next piece is how will funding be used to grow your business? And this talks about the conditions of your business, right? And so if you're leveraging these funds to take on something that really isn't viable or is totally outside of the realm of your business and your expertise, a lot of your lenders and investors are not going to invest in your business, right? Because it may be considered too risky. But if you're looking to really grow your operations, you need some working capital, you want to hire new staff, that lets us know that you're taking into account the things that you have control over. How are you going to leverage this funding to grow your business? And then from there, we look at how you're going to repay the loan, the capacity, right? Are you bringing in enough funding and capital to be able to repay this loan and it's not going to restrict your business or put you in such a bind where you may have to close your business because you're overextended? And then that last piece says, if all else fails, what happens when you can't pay the loan off? And so that's where the collateral piece comes into play. But a lot of times, what you'll see, especially with some of your larger loans, right? It's as long as those 4 areas and those 4 C's up front are really taken care of, you may see a lot of those loans being deployed without collateral. right? Even on the CDFI side, we've had borrowers who have secured funding from us, twice, and then they'll come back a third time because we have that strong history with them, and because they've been paying their loans on time. Those collateral requirements are not as strict. And so, as you think about building those relationships and getting out there to have those conversations, this is how your lender is going to review and evaluate your loan application. And so if you don't have that collateral piece, right, as it relates to the type of funding that you'll need, what you'll need to do is to begin to build those relationships so that they understand the character, they understand your business, they can invest a little now and continue to build that relationship until they could get to the point where they can invest more. So now that you understand those things, I want to talk a little bit about, and then we'll get towards like the some of the application requirements and then just some best practices. But I talked a little bit about like those major pitfalls that small business owners have when they're applying for a loan. So before you apply for any type of funding, do your research, right? Really know what type of programs are out there. And I would encourage you to stay away from your online lenders who will say they'll provide funding to you in 3 days. Sometimes they may take longer, right? But just do your research. If that's the route that you want to go, understand the fees, understand the charges, understand any penalties that you may incur as part of those programs. Know what's required when you're applying. We've had small businesses who have reached out to us to apply for a loan. They didn't do their research, and so it took us 60 days to deploy the capital because it took them that long to get all of the requirement documents together. So know what's required. I encourage all of you all that's here today and those who will watch this later to meet with the lender. Schedule some time, connect with them. We love that. Have that one-on-one to really talk about your business, talk about what you want to do, get an understanding from them from an application perspective, right? What makes a successful application? What are some of the things that you should consider? And then request some technical assistance time around your financials. We would love to take a deep dive into your financials before you apply for a loan so that we can kind of say and share with you, hey, you know what, based on your financials, this would be the right amount to go for now. And then maybe in 3 to 4 years, you can increase that after you've made some good payments and your business has matured a little bit. And so I encourage you all before you apply for any type of loan to sit down and have that conversation with the lender, with your accountant, or with the investor. And so as you think about applying for a loan, typically you're going to need some personal information, right? Your driver's license, any income that you are bringing in personally, you want to be able to capture that. Know your credit score. If you need professional references, have those handy. Your business information, making sure that your business is registered with the state, all of those things. From a financial perspective, we do have a projection template that small businesses owners can use and applicants can use before they apply for loans. And this is important because if you think about your financial information, we want to see a historical performance of your business, but also we would love to look at the next 12 months and what that's going to look like. And one of the things that we have with our template is we have a estimation around the loan amount. So if you know exactly how much funding you need, you will plug that in. It will let you know what the monthly payments are, and it will calculate that in your projections. And so that will allow you to share with the lender, with the investor that says, hey, over the next 12 months, we are going to take on this additional funding. It will become a line item in our expense report monthly. However, here's the health of our business as we look across the next 12 months. Not only can we afford the loan and the repayments, it's going to put us in a position where we can add more team members, right? We can purchase more equipment and we have additional working capital on hand. And so that'll be very important as you're thinking about applying for that application, and it'll just become a part of your loan proposal. And so I know a lot of times when you're doing and you're applying for loans, a lot of applicants want the work to be on the lender side. But I promise you, when you position and present um, a viable loan proposal to us that says, hey, this is how much I need, this is how much I can afford, this is how I will be applying it into my business, and here are the needs that I have from a long-term perspective that your organization can support. It puts you in the driver's seat of that conversation. And a really quick success story there, we had a small business owner who was looking to purchase an electric vehicle. They wanted to move from a gas vehicle to an electric vehicle. And they shared with us that they were spending over $1,000 per month on fuel. And they wanted their payments of their new vehicle, which would be the loan, to be at or less than what they were paying for that for fuel. And so we were able to finance that small business because they came with a plan. They outlined exactly what they needed. They highlighted how they were going to pay that loan. As a CDFI, we were able to approve that loan for a little over $42,000 within 3 days. Whereas we had one small business that wasn't prepared. They didn't do any research. It took us 60 days to qualify and approve that loan. And so coming to your lender, having that conversation up front will really drastically enhance the experience that you'll have with whichever organization that you're looking to secure funding from. And so as you think about that loan proposal, it doesn't have to be deep. It doesn't have to be anything big, right? It could just be something like this that just says, hey, we need about 225 to 275,000 to fund the project. We have a monthly budget where we can afford a payment between this. Not saying that that's what the payment will be, but that's what you have available to repay your loan. And the objective is what you're looking to achieve with this funding from a business perspective. And then how you're going to utilize the funds and to achieve that objective is going to be key. And then how are you going to repay the loan? And so just having that for yourself as you're having the conversation with a lender, you can even share that with them. The borrower that I was talking about with the vehicle, they shared their plan with us. And we were able to look at that plan, apply some of that context into their loan application. And by the time the loan manager shared the information with me, it was easy for me to just go ahead and approve the loan without hesitation because everything and all of the questions that I would ask as that primary decision maker, everything was there within the loan application. So that's going to be very important. And so let's just say that this was your loan proposal that you were looking to do for your business. What you would do with this, that next step, you've done your research, you've identified everything that's out there, the program requirements, you know exactly what you would qualify for, and you have a plan of action in order to go out and secure the funding you need for your business. So that next step that you would take now is really to identify what route you want to take, right? And so again, remember your fintech; those are going to be your online lenders, and so they are still an option, right? It's up to you as that borrower and as the business owner to assess what type of program you'll qualify for, what will position you today for success tomorrow, right? And what puts you in the position where you're not overextending yourself financially. And you will make that decision to either go towards the bank, right? To go to a CDFI, a community lender, or an online lender. And I'll tell you one of the biggest and most important things here is going to be to have a relationship with your banker, right? As a small business, all small businesses are, if you're running a successful and a ethical business, you will have to have a business bank account. And so having stronger relationships with your banker is going to be key. And letting your banker know, hey, I don't qualify for your loan programs. Who in our community that's trusted can you refer me to? Right? What CDFI or what community lender that you work with or partner with that have good programs that I should reach out to? And your bankers will connect you, right, with the different lenders or a TA provider, right? Think for Local First, right, or the Commerce Authority, like where you're on calls today at the boot camp, right? They can refer you over to some of those small business lenders in the community. And if you don't know where to go or you just need some more technical assistance, Prestimo's Women's Business Center, right? They provide technical assistance just for this to help you get to where you need to be and then refer you out to a lender within the community that's trusted and that can provide you with the funding that you need. And they don't have to refer you to Prestamo's CDFI. They can refer you to any lender and they refer small businesses to us to CIC to different lenders across the state that are trusted. So think about that when you are ready to engage to secure the funding that you need. You're not by yourself. You don't have to do it by yourself. You have a community of organizations that's willing and able and ready to work with you. And so once you have your plan, you know exactly where you want to go. Now it's time to identify that organization that you want to work with. And so, how this looks in theory, for us as a CDFI, we do what we call moments of impact, where we really highlight some success stories and we partner with small businesses to highlight their success stories. And so, we had a small business who wanted to expand into a new location, but they were making loan payments on a few online lender loans, and the payments were ridiculous. The interest rates were very high and very predatory, and they had a lot of penalty interest and fees that were included if your payment was late. And so we partnered with another CDFI to refinance the debt that this business had from these online lenders. We paid those loans off directly, and this reduced their monthly payment by 83%. That is huge for a small business. And they were making, and some of their loans, they were making weekly payments and some were monthly. But we reduced their payments by 83%. And we also provided some financial advisory services in partnership with the CDFI and some marketing assistance to help get their business out in the community and provide them with some marketing resources that they can leverage during their brand campaign. And so the outcome for that was they was able to use the profits and the savings that they were making from that restructure of the loan and then open a new location like they wanted. It took them a little longer, but they were able to eventually do that. And they're not overextended anymore. And they've been making on-time payments with us for the past 2 years. And so we have a lot of success stories like that, but it really required us to have strong relationships with the community and for that business owner to have very honest and transparent conversations with two CDFIs, right, to come in and help them and support their needs and meet them where they were. And so when you think about this and applying, you know, what you've learned to this discussion, and why those relationships are important, the experience of most small business owners looks like this. A lot of times they're focused on solving the immediate need due to the lack of preparation. And I don't mean this in a bad way. It's just the nature of and the reality of it, right? I was a small business owner as well. I had a consulting company, and it's easy to get lost in the work and not being able to look at your long-term strategy because you're doing everything. And so having those partnerships and those relationships allows you to talk about certain challenges and issues you're having in your business and then be guided to the resources that you need. And so when you're in your business and you're working in it and not on it, this is the experience of a lot of small business owners, right? They would go out, there were research loan programs that could provide a quick decision and that could fund in a few hours. They'll find the one that fits what they need, they'll apply, and then they'll take whatever they can get, and then they're frustrated, which was the experience of the success story that I highlighted with you, right? Where they went out, they got the funding that they needed because they were in a crunch, or they had really got excited about the potential of opening and expanding it into a new location. And they took on a lot of very expensive capital. And so then now they're frustrated because they're making very high weekly and monthly payments. I had a small business owner who was in that position as well, and they end up having to close their business down and file bankruptcy because of those monthly and weekly payments that they were paying for expensive capital that they purchased from the online community, and it crushed their business. And so what we're sharing with you all today as we think about navigating the loan application process and developing the successful strategy, this is really the formula. Focus on relationships and sustainable growth. And you can do that by thoroughly assessing your business needs and then creating a financing strategy. If you don't understand if you don't know where to start or you need some more help or assistance, there are organizations out there that will help you to do this. Local First is one. You have Moonshot, you have CIC in Tucson, you have the Groundswell Capital in Tucson, you have the Prestamos Women's Business Center, Grow Partners Arizona. There are a lot of organizations that can help you do that first part, so you're not doing it by yourself. And then once you assess and you have a good understanding of your needs, and then creating that financial strategy, a financing strategy to grow your business, go and do some research. Identify what loan programs you qualify for. And I always say this, choose between 2 to 3 lenders and meet with them, right? Meet with those potential lenders and identify the best fit. What I'll share here with you is your lenders need you just as much as you need them, right? Your bank, your CDFIs, your loan funds, we're all here for a reason. And our reason is to ensure that underserved communities, underserved borrowers have access to the capital that they need. And so when you're engaging with us and you're having that conversation, remember it's an interview for you as well. So when you're looking to get funding, you're interviewing that CDFI, you're interviewing that bank, you're interviewing that loan fund to say, will they provide this funding to me and think about what's best for me? Or will they provide this funding to me and think about what's best for them? Meaning the fees are high, there are huge penalties, and there are a lot of hidden terminology in your loan agreements. And so once you meet with those lenders, you do your interview and due diligence of that organization, apply to the program, apply to the one that best fits your needs. And this will put you on the path for success. And so with that, I will shut up. And I hope that this was beneficial to those of you who were able to join today, and just kind of take and look at access to capital a little bit differently. Again, like I said, it's the foundation of this is all about relationship building and really assessing your business to say, what is it that you need today that'll position you for success tomorrow? And then working with those organizations and programs that kind of fit and align to what it is that you're looking to do as a business owner.
Excellent. Thank you, Andre. We have a very good question in the Q&A that you can hopefully help answer, and I'll read it out to you. It's from Jessica. She says, what are the top micro enterprise startups, alternative loan programs for new businesses less than a year that have been generating a small income, a minimum of $2,500 a month? And then it goes with that is personal credit a factor in approval for any of these capital programs, or is it business credit?
Yep. So it depends on where you are, Jessica, but I'll give you a few. So in Southern Arizona, there's Groundswell Capital. There's CIC, Community Investment Center, Tucson. CIC has a BIPOC loan fund, as well as a smaller loan program, Avanza Fund with Groundswell Capital, and I think there are 2 more that they have, and then Kiva. And so Kiva is statewide. That allows you to secure up to $15,000. It's a crowd-funded program, meaning you reach out to the community. You don't have to do it by yourself. Kiva helps you do that, and we've been able to provide a little over $860,000 in loans to small businesses. And I'll definitely reach out to you, Jessica, if you could just drop your email in the chat. They do look at, some of them look at your personal credit, some of them don't. A lot of your lenders outside of banks, traditional banks, they're going to look at your personal credit. And again, like I said, be able to talk about it, be able to speak to the challenges that you may have with your personal credit, so that they can look at your whole business, right? Your entire financial health of your business, and not just the credit score itself.
And then one thing Jessica asked too that I wanted to follow up with after these questions was, and then how do you establish business credit?
Yep. So again, your business credit that'll come as you're doing things like merchant accounts, having a DUNS number, doing inventory and supplier type of financing. So think, you are a product-based business and you have a supplier that you have a line of credit with, having your line of credit with banks. Those are ways that you can build your business credit. But honestly, your business credit will matter more as your business grows. But if you're a startup micro enterprise, you're making less than, $1 million, $2 million a year, your personal credit is going to be heavily evaluated for any type of business financing.
Excellent. And so one thing we're going to do right now, we have a little bit of time. If you have questions, feel free to pop those in the Q&A I'm going to give a couple minutes over to Albert Escobedo, who's with us. He is my program manager for a program called the State Small Business Credit Initiative Technical Assistance Program. And he's going to cover real quick the website we have set up with that and a checklist, a funding readiness checklist that he created. This was actually created in conjunction with Andre, helped with it, along with a few other lenders. And it ties right into with the things that Andre said. So Albert, take a few minutes to go through that while others pop in their questions in the Q&A.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Robert. And thank you, Andre, for the informative presentation here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here in just a second. And I will actually put the link address also in the chat. So if you'd like to follow along or you just want to open this up in a separate web page or after the presentation, that would be great. Let me go ahead and pop that in. Perfect. All right. Can you see my screen, Robert? Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. So two of the commonalities and redundancies that I heard Andre say is, character building and then preparedness, right? When you are looking for capital or you're seeking capital, you're preparing for it in any fashion, you want to make sure you're building your education, your knowledge on what that entails. It's only going to make you a stronger business owner and aware of not only the risks, but the positives that can come out of any type of lending and how you utilize that. I want to take a step back with what we created. Like Robert mentioned, this was in conjunction with a couple different lenders, the ACA as well, on what type of education could we provide to business owners that are just thinking about funding. So one of the things that we created based off of another program that we won't cover today specifically is our small business funding checklist. Now, the website, I'm going to just kind of scroll through it as you're looking through on my screen. We've categorized our resources from our partners and internally at the Arizona Commerce Authority based off of the amount of years that you've been in business. Now, this isn't a perfect system. We realize that, right? There are going to be gray areas because not every case is going to fit perfectly within the parameters of the resources that we provided. But generally, this is something that we put together for businesses that have operated between 0 years, 0 to 1 years, 1 to 2 years, and 2+ years. So if you're a business on here just thinking about acquiring capital, or if you've a business that's been active for 2, 3, 4, 5+ years, we're going to have resources for you and outcomes at every step of the way for that. So starting off at the top of our small business checklist here, this is going to be very applicable to those at the ideation phase. That means you just have an idea for a business. You're just gathering some information, whether that's licensing, how do you fund your business, where do you fund it? All those resources are going to be provided with this first block of information for businesses that have operated 0 years, right? So you're at that ideation phase, you're just newly forming. We're going to have a couple of resources there for you. Some of those resources are internal, like our small business checklist, which is described furthermore in the bullet point. We also provide our one-on-one counseling with a partner, Greater Phoenix Score, that offers no-cost mentors that share wisdom, expertise, and knowledge to start your business. And then we've also provided a software from the BBB, the Better Business Bureau. That's an online course dedicated to help you develop your business. This does require that you have to sit down and go through these modules, and it helps you develop an understanding of what you need and where you need to go for your business. As we kind of take what Andre said a couple of minutes ago, don't sit down with the lender and then ask them how much funding you should receive. It's a huge red flag, right? These materials that we give you in this checklist and this guide are helping you answer those questions before you sit down with your local lender. We want you to be able to sit down with your local lender and them to be impressed with how much information you know and what you can answer. This is how you're going to do it here by going through these different steps and these different modules here. Okay. Let's say you're past the ideation phase. You've been in business. You want to grow. You want to start selling a little bit more if it's a product or if it's a service or both. we're going to provide a little bit more relevant resources for those businesses between 0 to 1 years, okay? And they have very specific resources, a little bit of explanation for those resources that can help you grow and expand your business within the 0 to 1 year range, okay? As we move down a little bit further, if you're following along with me, businesses that have operated between 1 to 2+ years, now we're getting into the territory of potentially getting ready for funding exclusively because we are targeting businesses that have been operating for at least 2+ years, which seems to be a minimum requirement for a lot of our lenders, especially in the micro lending space. So now we're starting to dabble into further funding and what's going to be needed. One of our programs or our worksheets that we really are trying to push with our clients is the funding readiness checklist. Okay. And that's going to be this link right here. I'm just going to briefly click it. Robert, can you see that funding readiness worksheet? Awesome. So this document is basically used to show you how prepared you are with general loan documents. I think this would fit into the loan request of $50,000 to $1 million based off what we were talking about with Andre and what he was showing us. Micro lending will require a little bit less, not that it would be easier to obtain, but just it would require a little bit less. So this funding readiness worksheet's really primed for that $50,000 to $1 million loan request. And this just goes through and asks you a series of questions. How long have you been in business? What's your personal or business credit score? One of the really important questions that we have as well is how much capital are you seeking, right? Don't sit down with the lender and say, how much do you think I should take out, right? You should already know by sitting down. So this funding readiness worksheet gives you the basics of what a lender is going to ask and what you should be prepared to show up with to the lender. This worksheet could look a little bit daunting, especially to the novice business owner that's really good at what they do and really good at what they operate in relationship building with their clients, but maybe is not very savvy on loan documentation or putting together a loan packet per se. But that's okay if this looks a little bit daunting, because as we've talked about before with our webpage of resources, you can take this funding readiness worksheet, you can print it out, fill it out, which we highly suggest. And you can start to work through our one-on-one, no-cost mentorship, whether that's through the Small Business Development Centers, Greater Phoenix SCORE, Prestamos Women's Business Center. They all provide one-on-one assistance if you're needing to complete the checklist. So if you have no idea what collateral is, how you're going to come up with that, that's just a really big roadblock for you in your business. Take this worksheet, reach out to one of those one-on-one no-cost services, and start to work through this prior to stepping into a lender and discussing any type of lending with them. This readiness worksheet is something that really encompasses the generality of what lenders require, but not necessarily the specifics to what one requires. So we just want to be really clear that although you could fill this checklist out in its entirety, doesn't guarantee funding. However, it does give you the general information of what lenders would ask for. I think I got about a minute left. So I'll scroll down to our last piece here. Small businesses who have operated 2+ years, very similar. We kind of have a fork in the road here. If you are prepared, the options are to make sure your funding readiness checklist has been completed in its entirety. If it is not, please contact one of our partnering loan institutions. I'm sorry, not loan institutions. If it's not complete, please go back and reach out to the one-on-one no-cost business counselors. They can assist you. If it is completed, you can reach out to one of the 3 partnering loan institutions the ACA has. Obviously, you can go out to other institutions. We're not saying that you have to work with the 3 that we do, but it's a nice recommendation. If you've been denied, let's say you've went out and you've tried to acquire some capital in a loan and it was, told to you that that couldn't be completed, that those loans can be dispersed because of, bad credit history, right? there are technical assistance options for you to start to get on the ball from that denial and start moving forward and working towards hopefully an acceptance, right? But that may take time, varying on what the denial was for. But we do have the options for you. It's not a, hey, you're denied, we'll see you later, come back whenever you want. We actually have options for you, so make sure you follow those and you reach out as needed. I strongly encourage you, so does the small business team, to utilize this website. It really is broken down by lenders, by the Arizona Commerce Authority, people that deal with these every day. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat or Q&A, whichever works. And thank you for your time. Thank you, Robert.
All right, thank you, Albert, for sharing that. That checklist is a great resource. Even if you're a new startup, feel free to look at that funding readiness checklist, because there's some key things on there that the lenders, you might think you need $50,000 and they're going to ask how you're going to use your funds. And if you don't know how you're going to use that $50,000, then there's some other help that you need to prepare your business plan and other things. We did have a question that came up. Andre answered it in the Q&A, but I want to share with everybody. It says, in today's market, with rates staying high and the recent failures of Silicon Valley, Signature and other smaller banks, more and more institutions are unwilling to lend to startups for new construction, even for SBA loans. So the question is, where does Growth Partners stand today on lending to startups for new construction? And Andre's answer was pretty simple: is they do support, Growth Partners does support even startups, but each business is independent. You have to look at the full picture of the loan application. There's lots of things to look at. That's where this funding readiness checklist can be helpful. But that's, as Andre mentioned earlier, the relationship with your lender is also important, whether it's Growth Partners or another. There's many lenders out there that there's some that will just say no, and there's lots of others that will look for ways to help to try to get you the money to get your business going and help support your business. And Growth Partners is one of those that, as Andre had mentioned, from my time working with him, they will help try to find the resources, help find the lenders or the package to help get you going with your business. And it may not be in a week, it may take some time, but there's a lot of programs to help support businesses to get going. And we have a lot of us want to see you be successful and get going on your business. So the key is reaching out and having that relationship. So with that, we are right at 10 o'clock. We're going to wrap up. But Andre, do you have any closing words of wisdom you want to share before we end this?
No, I would just say take advantage of everything that the Commerce Authority has to offer. Those checklists, the connections, all of those things are important. So definitely take advantage of that.
Excellent. Thank you, Andre, for being with us. Thanks, Albert, for sharing. We want to thank all of our attendees for participating today. We appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please reach out and we can try to answer those for you, get connected with somebody that can. So we hope everybody has a great week. If you're in the Metro Phoenix area or Arizona where the heat advisory is going on, please be safe and careful. And we hope to see you next Tuesday on our next boot camp. Until then, have a great week. Thank you.